Good evening, Ravens flock. Who is going to win the matchup on Saturday? Well, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. Here to preview the upcoming game is Amar from Game On Wisconsin. Let's get it. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Today's video, we are going to discuss each player that makes up the offensive line. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome into the show. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us, and I'm so excited to have him here joining with us. Amar, good evening. Welcome in. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Happy Friday Eve. Just thank you for having me. This is awesome. That hype video, I'm not gonna lie, that was awesome. Like watching Ravens do their thing, embarrass Brock Purdy and the Niners. Look, you had me going. I was hyped.
Awesome. I love to hear it. Would you please tell everyone just a little bit about you, how you became a Packers fan, and what you do right here on these YouTube streets?
Okay, all right. So my name is Amar. I became a Packers fan when I was born in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I used to tell people I was the only Indian born in Green Bay. And then one time I met the other five in DC one time, and I was like, all right, it ruins my story. And so I've been a diehard Packer fan from the day I was born. And so I love Packers football, and I love football in general. Like I've just been a fan of football since I was a kid, and I used to wear sports paraphernalia, right? And people used to ask me questions, and I didn't know much about my teams when I was 5, 6 years old, right? So I made a point to not only learn my team, but to learn everybody's team. Madden helped a lot, and then fantasy football. And now I just try to take all that knowledge that I don't know if it's useless or not and apply it to our our YouTube video here. So I have a show with Coast to Coast Packers on Game On Wisconsin with Bernie Bango. And we've been doing this for about almost a year and a half now. And we just love talking Packers and love talking football in general. So it's just a passion for me and him, and yeah, we just enjoy it very much. And I love what you're doing here on your show too. This is great. Just having all the little shorts and everything is we're trying to get to that level one day.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a newbie to content creation. I just started my channel. It'll be wait, tomorrow. It'll be 6 months tomorrow. Oh gosh, we need to have a party. We need to have a virtual 6-month anniversary around here. But thanks. Yeah, I watched your content. I fell in love with the interaction between you and Bernie and how you just really are able to talk about your Packers, but keep it real. Keep it a real perspective. Yeah. I love that. Sometimes as fans of our teams, we can have a shaded view or a skewed view because we don't really want to admit what's not so savory on our team. But I appreciate the fact that you do. You talk about the difficult topics too. The ones that you don't really want to sweep under the rug, pretend that they're not there. You guys dive into it and do a great job. So if you are watching right now on live, thank you so much. Please make sure that you hit the like button as you enter the building. And if you're new, welcome, subscribe, join the family, and go over to Coast Game On Wisconsin and make sure you subscribe to Amar and Bernie's channel. As customary here, before we begin, I'd like to give a warm welcome to everyone who has already joined in the chat. All right, I see we have our first one. Yes, he is always first. Let me move this up just a bit. Here we go. There we go. And I'm going to resize that a little bit. There. Now that looks much better. Actually, it's a little too big. See, the joys of eCam. If you are a content creator and you're looking to level up your game, eCam Live is the way to go. Glad to see you, 86 Ghosts. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Tim Hugh. Now, see, that was way too big. See, that's why you don't resize stuff, because then it gets a little too big. Okay, I don't know how to, oh wait, I think I can do it this way. All right, for some reason it's not wanting to resize. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna hide the comments and I'm going to pull them up once I figure out how to resize them. There's a way to do it. I'm going to figure it out. But Tim Hughes says, hello all, Yolanda. Ever since your message, Connor and Odin, my two BFFs, Connor, Odin, I hope you guys are doing well. They asked me 50 times when the stream was, and I told them we are ready. Let's go, Ravens. I'm happy that Connor and Odin are here joining me, watching, listening. If you're doing well, Connor, Odin, make sure you tell your dad, hit the thumbs up for me, Dad. Hit the thumbs up. We have with us Sean Coles. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. He said, looking lovely with your purple. That's it. Okay, I think we got it to a nice size there. We're going to shrink it just a bit, and we're going to hit the lock button so I don't mess up anymore. Okay, Sean, thank you. Yes, purple. We got to represent our Baltimore Ravens. I don't know where this conversation is going to take us tonight, primarily because today I know some of the Ravens were a little up in arms. I know we were a little bit unhappy because we did not make a good showing today in our camp, in the joint practice, but we'll see. We have with us Dell from Jersey. Good evening. Nisha C is in the house. I thank you so much for being here. And yes, Sean Cole says, Baltimore, be the change you wish to see. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. I hadn't seen you in a while. So he says, Yolanda is blossoming with content. She feeds the flock fervently. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And make sure you all give a very warm welcome in the chat to Amar, because he's taking the time to come out here and chop it up with us and talk about his Green Bay Packers, and we appreciate him. Thank you so much. All right, let's just go ahead and just dive right in. Amar, tell me your thoughts on today's joint practice, if you've had an opportunity to listen or hear about what's going on.
It's funny, like when the Ravens were coming to town, I'm thinking like, all right, here's a top 5, top 10 offense. Here's probably the number 1 defense in the league last year. I think I wanted every single coach from your defense to be our new DC. Zach Orr was a former Packer. Like, he had connections with Green Bay, so I thought he was going to be our guy. And then you had Anthony Weaver. You had just Hewitt. You had all these guys. I'm like, come on, get one of them. And unfortunately, we went with somebody else. But I was I wasn't expecting for us to have as much success as we did, just because last week we got really embarrassed by the Denver Broncos. We got a little bit of what y'all got this week, right? And then on that, in the game, they made us look really bad. But you know what? It was their stars against our second and third string. So for this week, it was pretty slow in the beginning. In the beginning, you guys were really handling us. I think Jordan found his groove, and I think you really saw him kind of show that, last week was maybe like an anomaly. And for him to do that against your defense, I was actually proud of my team, because they came back and really showed they have a little heart and grit after what happened last week. I feel like if they have another practice lined up, you're going to see the Ravens come back with a little bit of more ferocity than they did this today. I really do, because this happened to us last year against the Patriots, where we owned them the first time, and the second time they embarrassed us. So I'm just like, you know what? Like, you guys are a perennial playoff team. You are a Super Bowl contender. Like, I always feel like these joint practices, as great as they are, sometimes they get blown out of perspective, because it's like you always want to see your team succeed. You never want to see them have like a drop off, right? But if they're going to have drop offs, let them have them right now at training camp and right now before the game start, because that's when maybe they can get some adversity now. So when the season hits, you're not going to be feeling that kind of pain week 1. And you guys open, right? Week 1, you guys are opening night. So I'm going to say, like, against the Chiefs too, that's a rematch right there. Let's do it. I'm down. I see Lamar gain his get back in that game. But for the practice this week, yeah, it was unexpected, but I was very happy about my team. Baltimore, maybe they were just, they weren't taking us seriously. Maybe, I don't know.
That is a very kind way to put it. That is a very nice, gentle way to say, Baltimore, you didn't really show up too much tonight or this afternoon. I was at work, but I was getting the, tweets and notifications saying, hey, the Baltimore Ravens, I have it on my phone. I should pull up what I heard today. I said, oh gosh, offensive line, a huge concern for us. We have a lot of young guys, a young talent out there who are going to be in the trenches. And when you talk about having Lamar Jackson at the helm as your quarterback, protection for him is utmost importance. And it's a little concerning. I don't know if we're ready to hit the panic button just yet. just yet.
Yeah,
We, you know,
no,
and one thing I have to say, and I know we're specifically talking about today, today's joint practice, but I have to give myself the space to understand that week one, week two, week three, there might not be that cohesion that I want to see from our offensive
right.
line. It might take some time because there are so many young pieces that are now learning the ropes, being introduced to the speed of the NFL game, and how it's just different from college. And so there's that. But I will say about your quarterback, what are you, I'll ask you first. What are your thoughts about Jordan Love?
Okay, so I always have to start off and caveat the fact that when he was drafted, there's a video of me like not very happy about the draft pick. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I was like, oh man, I wanted Patrick Queen, which you guys got back then, right? And um, and I was just like, what are we doing? Like, we don't need a quarterback. And then, you know what? Over time, it wasn't great. It's true. Like the first year and second year, it was COVID year, right? So he didn't really get much practice. But now, I'm not gonna lie, he's been making me eat crow, and I love it. It tastes amazing. And I think with Jordan, after we had 18 years of Rodgers, right? You had a Hall of Famer, but you did see his game kind of trickle down at the back end of his career. And I'm not saying like literally that last year is where it really just kind of took a nosedive, I feel. And Jordan has a personality about him where I don't see any arrogance, if that makes sense. Like, like there's something about him. He just comes off as a really cool, chill, relaxed dude. He's gone through adversity his whole life. I mean, for him to lose his father at a young age and then for him to like kind of overcome that to become like what he is today. Like, and then also last year we started out so, okay. And then really had a bad stretch. And what you were talking about the offensive line, we had the same issues last year. We lost David Bakhtiari was done for the year, a lot of moving parts on the offense line, a lot of young talent. And it took them about 9 weeks to really get some cohesion. And once they did, they hit the ground running. And I think for you guys, I mean, Roger, I can never say his last name.
Rosengarten.
Rosengarten. That was my guy in this year's draft. Like I
Mm.
wanted him, like you would not believe. And even from practice today, they were saying how he was stonewalling Rashawn Gary, and that hasn't happened at all during training camp. So
Mm.
that's something on one-on-ones. That's a pretty good thing, right? And I just think that see where Jordan is right now. I feel like the sky's the limit. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks. I think like he just needs to take that next step and really solidifying, just like like Lamar. Like Lamar came in the league with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of adversity, just like Jordan did. And I feel like they both overcame that. And it's sad that they're at a point now where at any time if they mess up, it's just like everything that was said before comes back to the light, not really thinking about everything they've accomplished to this point. So I really am just rooting for both these guys just to take it to another level. I hope to God we see you guys at least start Super Bowl, and that would be an amazing Super Bowl, I think. Like, yeah.
Ah,
Jair
it,
said that today. Jair said that today. So
yeah, it was so. There was a picture out there floating around of Jair and Lamar next to each other, and it's like reunited again. Former college teammates. And okay, so you wanted a couple of players and a couple of coaches from the Ravens. Listen, honestly, I wanted some of the Packers. Like I would have loved Jair Alexander. I would have loved Devontae Adams. So I mean,
God, yeah.
I mean, you give
I don't blame
Lamar.
you there.
Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, you give Lamar Jackson a Devontae Adams, that would be just awesome, amazing. But
It's okay though.
similar story with Lamar Jackson too. This is someone who has always faced adversity, losing his mom, I'm sorry, his father and his grandmother on the same day. And when he was young, and he was raised by his mom, and just having to grow up, like I mentioned, facing adversity, difficulties. When I see Jordan Love, I see some of that same resilience in
Mm-hmm.
him that I see in Lamar. And just like you mentioned, no arrogance. Lamar is a man of the people. He goes out and he's
He's
out
laid
there.
back.
He
I
is.
could have a drink with Lamar. Lamar and
Yeah.
Jordan, I feel like I can hang out, not even drink, probably just talk all day, and it would be like really chill, and it wouldn't feel like you're talking to a guy who's like literally one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. Like it wouldn't come off that way, right? Like it just
Yeah.
seems like they're really down to earth people, which is something that I don't feel like you have in the NFL landscape as much as you used to.
Agreed. Agreed. And I mean, I think the ceiling is super high for Jordan Love too. I think he has a long way to go, and he's doing remarkably well. And looking at how he is able to command the offense at such a young age, and the players respect him. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
the players gather and they rally around him. So that's a really good feeling. So, okay, in terms of players to watch for this upcoming matchup, I know that typically we don't really see a lot of our starters, and same
Right.
thing would be for you for Green Bay. I know I think Jordan Love played a handful of snaps, 3, 4 maybe in the last game. But if there is a non-rookie on offense that you're really, a veteran, could be a second year or third or even more, that you're watching, who would it be?
Man, so if it's a non-rookie, it's our second year running back, Emmanuel Wilson Jr. He he's right now, like, it looks like AJ Dillon has a stinger, so who knows if that becomes something more debilitating because he had the same injury last year, right? And so he's a running back that's basically possibly could be backing up Josh Jacobs. So I really want to see what he can do against your front seven because, you know, regardless of what happened in practice today, that front seven in Baltimore is absolutely disgusting, and that's just the way it is. And I'm really looking forward to seeing them as well as Eric Stokes, who's a guy who was a first round pick a few years ago in 2021, but he had a lot of injuries in the last couple of years, and he's really hit the ground running basically since coming back. So I'm really trying to see if he gets any snaps, and if he does, how well he can do up against guys like Rashad Bateman. I have to admit, like, you guys, your receivers are like, your receivers are who they are. Like, Zay Flowers is absolutely disgusting, but that Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, I tell people, Derrick Henry's never had a quarterback like Lamar, and Lamar's never had a running back like Derrick Henry.
Oh,
And
that's good.
right, like, putting those two together is like peanut butter and jelly, and it's going to be the most amazing sandwich we're going to see this year. Like, don't be surprised if Lamar goes to another MVP and then Derrick Henry has like 20 touchdowns. Because, like, just, it's, I don't know. I know I'm supposed to talk about my team, but I'm really hype about your team right now. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, shoot. Hey, I can't hear
There we go. All right.
you.
There we go. I'm like, wait, you can't hear me? Yeah, sorry about that. But if there is a rookie who you are watching this upcoming game, who would it be? Last
Okay.
preseason, it's their last chance to really carve out a name for themselves on the Packers team. Who are you watching?
Man, oh man. Rookie or just any player?
A rookie, offensive rookie, a person who is an offensive rookie on your team. You really want to see what they can do in this upcoming game.
Offensive rookie. I'm trying to think. Because a lot of the guys we have there are not. Oh, okay, you know what? Joel Wilson, he's a tight end. He's probably like our fourth or fifth tight end, right? We have Musgrave, we have Kraft, Tyler Davis, who's a returning player coming back from ACL, hasn't really looked that great. Then you have Ben Sims, who I'm a fan of, but he's a second year player. Joel Wilson is a guy that's out of Oregon State who, he came in and he's been really lining it up in preseason. And that's where you kind of make your money. Is like when you have those opportunities, you have to make them, right? Especially in these games where, if you're not only are you trying to make your team, but you're trying to make other teams too. So those two, and then if Jordan Morgan, who's our first round pick from this year, he's coming back from injury, I'm looking forward to seeing if they give him any snaps because he was a left tackle all the way through high school, all the way through college. I'm really trying to see, and they've been really kind of having him just at guard, right guard, left guard. And we do need to have a swing tackle just in case, Tom or Walker goes down. So I really want to see what he can do if he plays this week, and if he does, how he would handle up against your front seven.
For me, a rookie that I'm kind of like watching for, I would say on offense it would be Tez Walker. We drafted him fourth round, and he was supposed to be the wide receiver that we just didn't have. That big body, 6'1". I think he's like 100 or 95, 200 pounds. The big body wide receiver for Lamar, that last missing piece of our offense. But he's just not really been available, and he's not, been healthy. So he's been MIA the last couple of games. So, I mean, he's played a handful of snaps, but nothing significant. And for him to be as highly sought after or highly, praised for being, hey, he's going to be a really good offensive weapon for Lamar, I haven't seen it. So that's who I'm looking for this upcoming game. I hope he's able to play. Not sure, but, if he's available, then that's who I'm looking for.
He
And
was the kid of North Carolina, or North Carolina State, right?
North Carolina, University of North
UNC, right?
Carolina.
Yeah, University of North Carolina. Because I was like,
Yeah.
he was Mr. Contested Catch in college. Like I remember
Yes.
seeing all his highlights and on the draft when this draft this year. Holy crap! Like he was. I don't think I've ever saw a guy with so many highlight catches and playing with. I mean, he played with Drake May, so I get it, right? Like he definitely made. I felt like he made Drake look better than what he really was. But yeah, so he's been banged up. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had I think a bit of like a rib injury, but um
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, let me know in the chat. But I think it was like something with his rib. He had a great mini camp, so by all accounts, the expectation was very high for him. But we just don't have that in wide receiver. Sure, we have tight ends, absolutely. We have
Oh
Mark
yeah,
Andrews, and even Isaiah Likely has stepped up.
yeah.
But, just giving Lamar that one extra piece, that big body receiver, go up, make those contested catches, the sky would be the limit, especially when you have, like you said, Derrick Henry in the backfield so it would be too dangerous of a combination for any defense, if we had that. So, but in terms of, I'm going to go back to Jordan Love. He did play in game one, and he played a little bit in game two. How did he look to you
So in the preseason, right? And
in the
so in
preseason?
preseason,
Hmm.
yeah, game one he looked amazing. He embarrassed the Cleveland Browns, which I know you guys appreciate, and he was like I think he played maybe 3 snaps. He was 2 for 2 for 65 yards and touchdowns. So he looked good. He didn't play at all in week two. So in the Denver game, they had a lot of practice time with a lot of terrible practice time with the Broncos. So they actually started Clifford and Pratt split basically one half, right? From what they were saying today and how he performed in practice, he says he's good to go and that he should be ready for week one, but it'll be up to Coach LaFleur. And I think LaFleur learned from last week by kind of saying too early that, hey, these guys aren't going to go, the stars aren't going to go. I think that kind of like maybe the team didn't prepare or have like what they needed for that game. So I think he's going to wait till the last minute to make a decision. I would love to see Jordan out there for maybe a series or two. But if he looks as good as he did in practice today, I'm okay with just waiting until week one because like I don't. You just don't want to take any chances. You know what I'm saying? You just don't want. And like
Yeah.
Denver's a what am I saying? Denver? The Ravens are an amazing team, and the thing is, those guys don't play. Like I just AFC North is no joke, man. I am
Uh,
not messing with y'all folks, man.
I'm not messing with us either. This is a tough division. I'm telling
It
you.
is.
I say all the time, this is the slugfest. It is the hardest, toughest,
Yeah.
division in the NFL. These players come out banged up, bruised up. It's just they go toe to toe, pound for pound when they're in that. Like the football field is like a boxing ring for them.
Yeah.
But Tim
That's
Hughes
the
made
whole
a
Christian.
Tim Hughes made a good comment. We need Green Bay to stomp the 49ers. Can you do that for us,
Hey,
please, Amar?
hey, look, you preaching to the choir right now. I ain't gonna lie. You guys showed us the blueprint. We couldn't follow through because, oh my gosh, not only did you guys beat them, but y'all embarrassed them. Like what? Had Purdy throwing 4 picks. I'm not gonna lie. I was a Ravens fan that night. I was a Ravens fan that night. Oh my gosh, that game was so. It was just so uplifting.
Yeah.
I was
It
so
really was.
I was
It
so
really
hyped.
was,
Oh,
especially to hear the fans saying that they don't, the Ravens don't stand a chance. Okay. Well, oh, all right.
mhm.
If you, I
Yeah,
did not
Monday
say this.
night found out real quick.
Yeah, I found out real quick. We schooled them. We taught them a little something. If I did not say this earlier, if you have a question for either Umar or myself, please leave it in the chat and we'll get to it. The Hawk TV, good evening, welcome. Thank you for being here. He wants to know, why did Pack do Aaron Jones dirty and not re-sign him? He admits that that's a loaded question. He does
Yep.
admit that that is a loaded question, but he does feel that Aaron Jones was a great running back for the Packers. So, what are your thoughts on that,
Okay.
Umar?
Oh man. All right. So I'm gonna tell everybody right now that a day hasn't gone by that my heart hasn't broken just a little bit, knowing that Aaron Jones is no longer a Packer, and of course he's with the Purple Vikings. Like that has killed me. He is the epitome of a Green Bay Packer. He is an amazing human being on and off the field. He's just a really, really good dude. And I think what happened last year, even though he hasn't really been injury prone through a season, he's missed time, but not a lot, right? And because I think they wanted to, because of his age too, I think they wanted to bring him at a certain salary. And when they couldn't agree to that, Josh Jacobs became available and they ran with Josh. And I think our GM used to be an SEC Southeast scout, so he loves those guys out of Georgia and Alabama. Hence why we got McKinney. We got all a lot of our draft picks are Georgia guys, right? And so just like for Ravens, majority of Ravens people are like Bama players because of Ozzy over there. He loves his Bama guys, right? And then Acosta too, right? So I get it. Like SEC is where it's at, and I just think for Aaron Jones' case, I just think that there was a price point that Green Bay chose, and he didn't want to meet that, and so they cut him. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not happy about it at all. I love Josh Jacobs as a player. I think he's going to do really well in this offense, but a day doesn't go by where I don't miss Aaron Jones.
Yeah, good. Thank you for that. I listen. Aaron Jones, that was sad to see him go. From the Packers, that really was. I think we have another question here. Someone be the change you wish to see. Said, you definitely know your stuff, but I think Jay the Six had a question, and this one is a really good one. Good evening, Jay the Six. Thank you for being here. He says the Packers have had success with day 2, day 3 pass catchers. How can the Ravens learn to do the same? And can they start? Can they by starting with Tez? I'll take that one. Tez needs to show up. I said it earlier, Jay, and I know, I think Killicam confirmed, yeah, it was the rib injury that's kind of sidelined him a bit this offseason. He had an amazing, from all accounts, great mini camp. And we were looking for him to come out and be everything that we needed him to be. And he hasn't. So to me, he's been a little underwhelming. I still think that he has an opportunity to make the roster. It'll be between either he or Wade, Dayton Wade. I said that in a previous video, in my last video. If you missed it, I'll make sure after this live stream to link it down below. Go check that one out where I give my prediction of the 53-man roster. We'll see on Tuesday if I was right. But but yeah, Jay, Tez Walker has to step up. That's it. He has to play this Saturday, and he needs to show everything that he was coming out of college and show that he can do that now in the NFL, especially now we're going against the Green Bay Packers. So this is the time to do it. And be the change you wish to see says Josh Jacobs is definitely a nice get. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm hype. I'm not gonna lie. He's been doing really well with a team like the Raiders, who've had moments, but for the most part have been a subpar team. And he is now an opportunity to go up against be with a quarterback who is considered to be a top 10 quarterback and an offensive line that's probably top 10 overall, right? So because of that, also an offense that I think caters to running backs, but not in the sense of trying to drive them into the ground, but utilizing them in space and finding a way to get the best out of them without putting carries on them. Because that was one thing with Aaron Jones was I felt like if he was the only reason why we had our win streak last year. I know Jordan Love was on a heater, don't get me wrong, but it was a combination of both Jordan and Aaron. Because if it wasn't for Jones running his butt off like he was, we wouldn't have been able to have that success, right? And I think this year we're going to see Josh Jacobs last year was actually pretty decent, even though he was banged up. I think in this offense with Jordan, the sky's the limit. And I think his whole career, Josh Jacobs has yet to catch a receiving touchdown, which I think is absurd. So Jordan says that he plans to end that streak as quickly as possible. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that should be good. That should be good. And I believe Jordan can do it. Jordan, I have the utmost confidence in him to lead your team. So yeah, I think he can definitely do it. Last question on offense before we move over to defense. If there is one position group from the Packers that is a little troubling to you as we head into the end of the offseason, what position group is that?
It's going to have to, I think a question that you asked me previously was about an offensive rookie that I want to see perform well. And a guy's name that came to me was Jacob Monk. He's a center guard, also out of University of North Carolina. And that's not right. He played at Duke. I'm so sorry. He played at Duke. Apologies. So, but so the offensive line, the fronts 5 are pretty set. I'm more concerned about the depth. And in these preseason games, you do see the depth get tested, right? And in the NFL, there's 100% injury. Everybody's going to get banged up. Everyone's going to get hurt. So you need guys that can step in and perform well. I think that's why I was a little upset about last week, because these were second string, third string guys going up against starters. Yeah, they didn't perform well, and the excuse was like, well, they're going up against starters. I'm like, that's not the point, though. Like, they should still be able to show out because they may have to play against starters down the road. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the offensive line is able to gel and be able to kind of, because in preseason it is kind of vanilla, very vanilla when it comes to offensive defensive play calls. So I don't know what Zach Orr is going to throw at our offense. But I kind of do hope he throws a little something, something, so we can get an idea if our offensive line can really handle that kind of heat.
I do think that our defense, Zach Orr, is going to be pretty vanilla, like you mentioned. But even still, even with a vanilla scheme, not a whole lot. We're not going to put all of our cards on the table and put that on and have this on
Right.
tape already for the for the opponents to see and already be prepared for us going in. We're not going to do that. But
No.
even still, the Ravens, and we'll get into the defense in just a minute, but the Ravens defense has always been one that is known to be, we are very tough. We are very
Mhm.
physical. We are very aggressive. I don't expect to see anything different on Saturday. We didn't see all that much aggressiveness today. And from by all accounts,
They're
from
saving
the
it. They're
joint
saving
practice, it didn't seem like that. I mean, there were guys out there. Yes, I heard some that were making plays, and that's really good. We'll talk about injuries and toward the latter part of the show. But now let's for me, and let me answer that real quick. For me, and if you're watching right now live, thank you so much. Please make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new, welcome. Join the family and subscribe. Leave a comment in the chat for us. If you are a Ravens fan, what is the position group on offense that you have kind of a question mark? Not ready to hit the panic button just yet, but what's a question mark for you as we go into this final preseason game? For me, it's O-line. It was a toss up. I kind of went back and forth, Amar, between O-line, wide receiver. We just have
Mm,
so many different wide receivers who we're experimenting with right now.
right.
But like you mentioned, O-line depth is a concern. But for the
Mhm.
Ravens, it's not only just our depth, it is also our starters because we
Mhm.
are playing a handful of them on O-line. So
Right.
we've got, Voorhees, Rosengarten, arguably Daniel Falele, but we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if he's going to beat out Ben Cleveland.
Right.
We got to figure out what happens at right guard. That's a huge question. So, that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens this week in O-line. They're not horrible. I'm not going to say like, oh gosh, they're just terrible. That was my perception of them after game 2 against the
Mm,
Falcons. I said, okay, there were some shining moments, but there were some not so shining moments. You don't
right.
want to, but yeah, and just like Sean Coles mentioned, Roquan caught an interception. Right, we had some really good, plays that came out today. So, and we'll talk about defense in just a minute, Sean. And so we'll get back to Roquan's interception. But I do think our defense is still going to, even our backups for the most part, are still going to give. You're going to give your offense a run for their money this upcoming
Good.
Saturday. But
I want it. I want it. This is the time to get it, right? And there's no, and I think Roquan actually dropped a second pick that was hit him right in the hands. So I was like, I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
yeah, they may not look bad, but they had opportunities. It's
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing. Like, yeah, let's get the defense. I
Okay.
can't really
Yeah,
talk about
let's get into the defense.
defense.
Okay. Non-rookies, non-rookie defensive player who has stood out to you and impressed you these first 2 preseason games.
Oh man, these preseason games. I think non-rookie Devontae Wyatt. He's a defensive tackle, third year, second or third year, third year out of Georgia. He has really come on in this scheme. So our scheme previously with Joe Barry was very much a read and react on D line, and then when it came to the secondary, is a very shell defense. So it's very much like an umbrella that was going across the back end to where you're not giving up any big plays. And this defense is now under Jeff Halfley, who was formerly at Boston College. He coaches a man press open close defense. Very much a single high safety. You're going to have corners going to be in your face, and the defensive line basically is pin their ears back and go. And Devontae Wyatt, all preseason training camp, and of course Rashawn Gary. Those two have been really just lights out. And Rashawn is now 2 years removed from a year and a half removed from his ACL injury. So I
Mm-hmm.
really am like looking forward to see what he could do. But Devontae Wyatt's my guy. Like another guy that I wasn't a really big fan of that we drafted, but when you look at his speed, size, like just attributes, I mean, you got a guy that's like 305 pounds, runs like a 4.9, 4.85 40. I mean, it's insane.
Wow.
Like he's
Yeah.
the big man like that shouldn't move like that,
Shouldn't move
right?
like that
And
fast.
yeah, so I am really looking forward to seeing what him like our defensive line is going to be where our defense goes one way or another, right? Because we're switching from a 3-4, which is something that I think the Ravens normally run, right,
Yes. Yes,
to
that's
like
our
a
base.
yeah, and so we're going to like more of a 4-3, but with a 4-2-5 nickel. So you're going to
Mm,
have a little bit of that like transition, right? We did a lot of nickel last year, but because of this very passive defense, it just wasn't beneficial to us. And I think now, even everybody on the team, like everybody on the defense, has been just like they've just been so like I've never seen the glee and the energy and the happiness in the last 3.5 years like I have in the last year. And even
wow.
with Jair, like Jair was like a malcontent to some people,
Yeah.
and you could tell he was just not happy. And
Mm,
now he's like this dude's like he just has a smile on his face. He's very positive. All his interviews with people are just a 180. It's the same guy that he was 2018, 2019. That
mhm,
guy's back, and I am
mm,
just like Ja's my guy. I'm just
yeah.
like I love Ja to death, and yeah, I think that those three, Wyatt, Ja, and Rashawn Gary, are the ones I'm looking forward to.
Hmm. For me, and also,
Yeah, what about you guys? I was gonna say you
yeah.
guys have a lot, man. I got Kyle Hamilton. I'm just
I
like
mean,
just
the
thinking
whole
of stuff,
defense.
right?
There we
And,
go. That's my answer. The whole
yeah,
defense. Leave a comment in the chat. Who is one player? Whether you are a Ravens fan or you're a Packers fan, if you're joining, who is one non-rookie on defense who you're most excited about this? Who's been impressive to you the last couple preseason games? For me, it's David Ajabo. He only played in week 2 because he's coming off of an injury. But
yeah.
David Ojabo is back.
Michigan guy, right? The Achilles.
Michigan, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, that
sorry,
was my
no, Penn
dude.
State. I'm sorry, Penn State.
Was
He's
he
out of
Penn State?
Yeah, he's out of Penn State.
Oh,
And
yeah. I'm thinking the
yes,
other dude. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Odafe Owe. That's yeah. They are. Everybody already knows in the chat. Yes,
Okay,
that's his
always no joke.
brother.
That's another freak. That's another freak
What?
in nature right there. That's like a Delius Thomas 2.0, man. Oh my gosh. Woo.
Did you all hear that, ladies and gentlemen? I've been saying this about Odafe Owe, and now we have someone who is from the outside telling us Odafe Owe is the real deal. But going back to the question, for me, a non-rookie defensive player who's impressed me over the last couple of games, specifically game 2 with David Ajabo. He's aggressive. He has pass rush moves. I mean, just kind of embarrassed that offensive lineman, last week against the Falcons. So he got a burst of speed. He's very athletic. Everything that you want, that you're looking for in an edge rusher, he's got it. It's just a matter of him being able to stay healthy and be able to consistently put it all together. And I don't want to get, too excited about it, but I think he's there. And
Yeah.
if we can continue to take our time with him and in terms of not putting too much workload on his plate, because I don't want any setbacks, but he said he feels great. He said, this
Mhm.
is it. He's ready. No other, no greater feeling than for him to be back on the field causing
Right.
havoc. So I'm looking, he's impressed me, but, we drafted him in 2022 in the second round, and he fell only because he got injured at pro day, and he's
Yeah,
just not really,
that's
he's
what
just not
pissed me
really been
off.
healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what made me mad when he got hurt and all the guys just walking around him. They're not even like checking on him when he got hurt. I'm like, dude, like, what do you think happened? He fell over and he's grabbing his leg. Can y'all try to help? And then eventually the trainer goes, I'm like, so that just tells you how obsessed I am when it comes to like drafts. I'm just like, you never know who you're gonna get, right? So I'm always looking
Yeah.
at everybody. And I was a big fan of his. And I was upset to see him get hurt, but I was very proud. That's what I love about DaCosta and Ozzy, because they will make the pick where you're like, he's a red shirt, but if he can come back, oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
that's what you guys got. Like he came back and whew, he's
Yeah.
a whole other monster right now.
It's funny because it's funny to hear you say that in terms of, our GM in terms of his picks, because as a fan, you want to see the team win now. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a
You don't
win.
want to wait.
you're not
got
wanting to
time
do
for
the
that.
slow burn into, okay, this person is
Yes.
going to be good for us, down the line, a year, 2 years, he's going to be
Yep.
great. Give him 5 years and he'll be at the pinnacle of his career. No, we want to win right now. So it's
Now,
it's a
now.
frustrating, yeah, it can be a little frustrating. And that's just my perspective sometimes, even though, like you're saying, right now, 2 years later, from 2022 to 2024, I'm happy we have Ojabo. Now, you asked me that 2 years ago, and I'd be like, why are we taking another injured player? For what? Don't we have enough of those? But
Exactly.
anyway, so
Yep.
be the change you
Look,
wish to
I
see.
just
Said,
said about Jordan. I was saying about Jordan. I said the same thing about Jordan. So I feel you 120%.
yeah.
2020, we just got blown out by the Niners in 2019, right? So I'm like, yo, we need to get defense, need to get this, need to get that. We get a quarterback. I'm like, we don't need a quarterback right now. But look, 4 years later, I ain't talking. I'm
And now
happy. Shit.
you're not saying a word
Nah,
about
come
Jordan
on.
Love,
I
and
mean, I mean that crew. I mean that crew.
I love it. I love it. It's so refreshing to see that some of the same frustrations that I feel, and I'm sure I don't want to speak on behalf of those who are watching, but I know that just by interacting with them in the chat, some of the frustrations that we feel as fans, it's nice to know that
Mhm.
we're not alone. Like other teams
No.
feel the same types of frustrations with their team and the decisions that their higher ups make for their for their future. So, but be the change you wish to see, says he's looking. He's most impressed by Trenton Simpson. Trenton Simpson is another one.
Mhm.
We're asking him to do a lot because we lost Patrick Queen. He
Right.
went over to the rival, over to the Steelers,
Of course
but
he
now
did.
we're
Yeah, I know. But you know what? He wasn't. He wasn't first round pick. He's what Roquan. You expect him to be like Roquan. That's what it was, right?
yeah.
And then never transpired. Even though he's doing okay in Pittsburgh, but for that pedigree, you're expecting game changer. You're expecting like Raven. Not Ray Lewis. Ain't no one gonna be able to be Ray Lewis, but
Oof.
you kind of want something like that at a first round pick, right? Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like no, yeah. Trent Simpson, he's the rookie, right? He's the rookie all right this year, right? Or was
No,
he
he is
last
going into his second year. So he's our
second year?
non-rookie who's going into
Yeah,
his second year. He, got some playing time last year, but obviously the majority of the snaps went to PQ, Patrick Queen. But
yeah,
now in his absence, we're pairing him alongside Roquan. And what I
right.
think the benefit is, and I can totally agree with be the change you wish to see. I think what's happening is he had an entire year to really sit under, learn,
Yeah,
absorb from Roquan, and even to a lesser degree Patrick Queen, because I do
great.
think that Patrick Queen is a really good player. He's coming into his own, and
Yeah,
arguably he was doing that even right before we brought in Roquan. But certainly, it just skyrocketed in terms of his performance. But one thing I'll say about Trenton Simpson, I think the upswing for him is so much greater because as a second year player, he's great in coverage. This is a
hmm
great covered linebacker. So I agree with him. Trenton Simpson is certainly one. Even though we talked about offense earlier, I need to bring this one up. Tanja says she's hoping so because it sounded like Jordan had a lot of time to throw back there today. He just had himself a time. That means
yeah. I hate to say that. I saw that. They said our offensive line looked pretty good, but you know what though? We had our starting line out there, which we haven't really had for most of training camp because Zach Tom had torn his pectoral in April.
Mm.
So then we had Dillard. Let's see what's this. And then so yeah, our offense line is pretty good, and they've been building that thing up now for a few years, right? So I get it, and Jason needs to step it up to shake off the mustache.
He's
Jeez.
talking. He Jay the Six. Jason. They call him Jason. His name is Odafe Owe, and he's just picking. He's poking fun.
Oh, oh,
He
leave
could.
that man alone. Come
No,
on.
he could.
Dude runs like a corner and he's like 280 pounds. Like, no, man, he's fine.
Odafe Owe. I'm telling you, I've been saying since the start, well, even before I started the channel, I would go into everybody's live streams, and if they even thought about saying something about Odafe, I'm on it. I'm on it.
You're
Wait, no,
like,
don't
nah,
talk about
dog.
him. Wait,
We're
no, don't
muting
say
you.
that. No, you're wrong. And I certainly do it now that I have a platform. But
Um,
yeah, Tanja says she's like, our guest Amar knows a lot about our team. Yeah, his knowledge of football, as he said earlier, I don't know if you were here. He's been just a lover of the game, obviously a Packers fan, diehard, but just loves the game of football and very knowledgeable, very, very knowledgeable.
Appreciate
Sean
it. Perfect.
Lyle,
Thank you for
yeah,
that. I appreciate
thank
that.
you. Sean Lyle says Isaac, yeah, Adisa Isaac. Okay, he's another one because I was asking, who is a player that who's impressed you. All right, now question for you. So we talked about the players who are non-rookies. Now tell
Hmm.
me a defensive player, a defensive rookie
Mm.
that has stood out over games 1 and 2 of the preseason.
Oh my God. Okay. He is named after a liquor. His name is Evan Williams. He is a safety out of Oregon. And when he was drafted, I wasn't the happiest because I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna see a theme. The most of the guys that I get mad about us drafting turn out to be really good. So it's been a consistent theme here. Uh, but so Evan Williams is safety out of Oregon, and we had a guy on our show named Justice Mosqueda, absolute amazing follow on Twitter, and he's a major Oregon Ducks, a huge Oregon Ducks fan. Okay, so once we drafted this guy, he got a text from somebody on the defensive staff on for Oregon. And he says, "Congratulations on getting our best defensive player." So this
Mm,
guy, yeah, and he's been lights out. He has already has 5 interceptions in training camp. He has been playing strong safety in the tackle box. He's just been everywhere, and that goes on top of like us grabbing Xavier McKinney, who was a former Giant safety, us having Javon Bullard, who we drafted out of Georgia. But honestly, Evan Williams has 4th round pick has really showed up. Um, that's like probably our number one rookie that's really made a big difference on defense, and honestly, hit the ground running in comparison to rookies in general.
hmm, that's good. That's
What
good to
about you guys?
hear.
Yeah, what do you guys have?
Yeah, leave a comment in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, do the same thing. Let me know a couple of players, defensive rookies, who have stood out to you this preseason. For me, defensive rookie, I'm going to go with Bo Braid. Bo Braid is a very physical, he's a member of our secondary. He's super physical. He's a good tackler, makes interceptions, pass breakups. He's just really good. But I
Hmm.
have to get, I saved the best for last, and I knew it was coming up. I knew somebody was going to say it. Nate Wiggins. Nate
Oh
Wiggins,
God,
our
yeah.
first round
Oh my
draft pick
God,
out of Clemson. I
Clemson boy, that guy.
uh,
You
He's
talking about
ahead
the
of. He's
wind?
going to
He's so fast. Oh my
lightning
gosh.
speed. I think he was a 4.2, like a yeah, four
8,
two eight,
four
something like
two
that.
eight. Yeah,
Yeah, four two
yeah.
eight. And I mean, he's just a problem. I'm gonna say it right now. He's gonna be a problem. He's a menace. So, Bo Braid is one, and then obviously I would definitely have to say Nate Wiggins. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're just so loaded in terms of our secondary.
Yeah, it's nasty.
It
It's
is. I
Humphrey, Kyle, and then you still got what's his name? Oh my God, help me out. You got
Kyle
Nate, and
Hamilton,
then
Kyle
yeah,
Hamilton, and are you talking about Marcus Williams?
yes, kid from New Orleans. Yeah,
Yes.
like oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, there's not been a year where you guys have had a bad secondary. I just don't even remember when the last time you guys ever had. If it wasn't Jimmy Smith, or if it wasn't like freaking oh my God, I'm screwing up on his name right now. Oh, Tony Jefferson. I mean, you guys have always had a
Yes.
great secondary. Like
Love
the reason
Tony.
why I know your team so well because I've been envious of your team. That's why I know it so well.
That's really good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Davon, for being here. He says it'll definitely be a good game to watch. Certainly. The other ones were kind of not so intriguing. But I mean, we're just happy as football fans to have a game to watch because we've gone so long
Yeah,
without being able to watch a game. But I think this one is going to be a really, really good game. But yeah, certainly Nate Wiggins, first round draft pick. He's everything you want in a cornerback. So yeah, he's going to be a problem. I don't know if he's playing this upcoming weekend. I'm not
he got
sure.
banged up right on his
He
shoulder, right, or
did.
something.
He did. Yeah. So I don't know if he's medically cleared to play. I personally
Mhm.
don't want him to play. That would
Yeah,
just be my
I
personal opinion.
wouldn't take that chance.
I wouldn't
Yeah, no.
risk it. I wouldn't. We've seen enough. We've seen
But
enough.
he was practicing. So he was practicing today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was out there. So he's a rookie, so he's probably gonna get some snaps, right? But I just don't know how much. That's the thing, like
No. No.
because he's
No.
not big. That's the thing that always worried him coming out. He was his highlights at Clemson. He was a really good corner, probably top 5 corner coming out of this draft. But his weight is what always concerned me. He's like 178 to 186 pounds between there, right? And
Yeah.
I was always like, man, like oh, I just need to get a little bit more weight, but not lose any speed. That's it. Like if he can just get on, good 5, 10 pounds of muscle, he might be on. He's a rookie, so he's going to get
Yeah.
into the Baltimore, weight training program. And he's probably going to be another Marlon Humphreys. I'm going to be mad as hell. That's basically what's going to happen.
I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna do even more than Marlon has done, and Marlon has been great for us. Even though the last couple of seasons he's just not been that all pro Marlo that we've all known. But
Yeah,
I think Marlon is coming back this season. Marlon has heard the chatter.
yeah, he
Marlon
is.
has heard, he's listened to people say that he has fallen off, and his play and his skill set is trailing off, and he's heard, and I think Marlon's going to have a very impressive year. In terms of position battles on defense, are there any key position battles that you think the Packers have? Any players on any
I think
one?
right now,
Yeah.
yeah, no. So I think like right now it's going to be probably safety because we have a lot of safety talent. We've got to figure out who's going to start next to McKinney. I think slot is going to be a big one because Keyshawn Nixon, who is an All-Pro returner, but the truth is like he's an okay slot, and we drafted guys who can play in the slot. Also outside corner because Jaw is solidified as number one, right? But when it comes to the number two corner, you have Stokes, you have Carrington Valentine, and then you actually have like some other guys out there who are like they're like the special team dudes, but they're actually pretty decent. And so like you have what is his name, Carrington. There's the Carrington Valentine, and then there's Corey Valentine. So Corey Valentine's another guy who actually really came on last year. So we do have the funny thing with us because we have so many young guys. Again, I think Packers will be the youngest NFL team by age, like they were last year. So last year it was like age of 25 and a half, and then this year it's 24 and a half, which is still the youngest, which is kind of crazy to me. But I'm thinking slot. Someone had mentioned Lucas Van Ness. I do think outside rusher, opposite of Rashawn Gary, and then of course safety and corner too. We have a lot. I think we have a lot of competition going on right now.
Yeah, same thing here. That's if I were to say one position, key position battle would certainly be at secondary. We have so many, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
fighting for that last final roster spot. Who makes the cut? Because that happens on Tuesday, or
Hmm.
who gets cut, put on the practice squad, who gets IR stashed. We'll find out. But yeah, for the that is just so interesting to me. But for the Ravens, I think it's definitely the secondary. That would be the position battle to really watch. And on offense, it's a battle between Daniel Falele, Ben Cleveland, who's taking that right guard. So that's it for me. Injury concerns. Any injury concerns that you've heard about of the Packers ahead of Game 3 of the preseason?
I mean, honestly, some of our rookies. Jordan Morgan, our first round pick, he had a shoulder injury that he's just coming back from. Um, Edrin Cooper, our second round pick, who had a hip injury, hip/groin injury that he's coming back from. Marshawn Lloyd, our third round pick, who has a hip injury. Like you see, like it's almost every
Wow.
round we had
Yeah.
someone that's banged up, right?
Wow.
Yeah, so you had those. Those were probably our three biggest ones, and they're all rookies, right? But you drafted them with the thought of them kind of having some contributions. So the fact that some of these guys have missed a lot of training camp, it will impact their ability to show, like you were talking about, right? Having that immediate contribution. So it's probably going to be on the back end of the season when they get more acclimated to the game, get used to the scheme, things like that. Um, the funny thing with injuries is like you could have a guy that's completely healthy and then some crazy thing happens in the season and now you're like screwed, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think those are our three biggest ones. And something I didn't mention on your last question was positional battles, wide receiver for us. Because we
Mm.
have yeah, you said you have an abundance of positions there for secondary.
Yeah.
We had the same thing at receiver. We have like good probably 8 or 9 receivers who could probably start anywhere. And I mean, normally you keep probably 6, maybe 7 if you're feeling lucky,
Mm.
and that's not always easy, right? And
Yeah.
so it's so many. We have so much good talent, and yeah, it's gonna be those are gonna be like our biggest ones, I think. But yeah, like I was saying, injury concerns. Also, Christian Watson, I'm a really really big fan of, but the injury bug has hit him. Every time he's kind of like really started blowing up, something happens, right? I'm
Mm.
hoping, and he spent this offseason at John Hopkins, literally getting his hamstrings looked at, and they found out there was a 20% difference between his hamstrings.
Mm.
So it's kind of crazy. So he
Yeah.
strengthened the one that was weaker
Yeah.
in hopes that he won't have the same injury. So, you know what? And honestly, he's a third year guy. So the third year is where normally receivers jump. So I don't remember somebody asked about like, your second and third year receivers, how they going to how do they develop? It's just having like a steady flow of good receivers ahead of them to learn from. And then that second, third year is when they kind of take that next level step, right? Especially third year. Third year is when like Zay Flowers, second year, okay. Next year, watch. That he's gonna be disgusting. I'm gonna tell you that. He's already disgusting. It's gonna be like Nickelodeon disgusting. That's gonna be crazy.
There was a lot to unpackage there, and you made a statement. And Jay the Six, he comes into the stream. He's such a good person, just a great, funny. I appreciate him. But Jay the Six asked a great question. He read my mind. Something that you said, Amar, was you have so many wide receivers on your team, and they could be starters anywhere. The first thing that I thought of was we have a lot of wide receivers, and I mentioned this earlier in the show. We have a lot of wide receivers right now. And I thought to myself, and chat, let me know, how many of our wide receivers could be starters on any team right now? If we took one of them, two of them, 3, 5, however many, could they be starters somewhere else? And that was the first thing that came to mind.
I'm thinking too, like Bateman and Flowers for sure, right? And then, damn, is Tez three?
Bateman, wait.
I'm a Rashawn Bateman fan. I've been a Bateman fan for a long time. That injury's been killing him, but man, I know. He's Mr. Gopher. Mr. Gopher has not been well. I know.
I'll give you my 2 cents on Bateman. I have been a Bateman fan as well, and I've wanted to see Bateman succeed. You talk about an excellent route runner. You talk about a player who can get open. The coaches have been able to scheme him open, and he has no problem doing that. Yep. He has no problem doing that. He understands the assignment. The issue or the question mark that I have for Bateman is not, are you an effective, pass catcher? Are you a good wide receiver? Can you do the job well? That's not the question. For me, it's can you get on the same page and develop that chemistry with your quarterback?
I agree.
And if you can't, then that's a problem, no matter how wonderful of a wide receiver you are.
I agree. That's why Jahan Dawson got traded to the Eagles, because he couldn't get on the same page with Jaden Daniels, and he was having some kind of issues too. But Bateman's not a bad player, if that makes sense, right? Like, he's not like a malcontent by any means. It's just maybe the way he's learned his offense and the way like Greg Roman had it before Monken, it messed him up, and now he has to learn the way Monken wants things done, right? So I don't know. Lamar's not a bad quarterback to get on the same page with, but you have to do it though. That's the thing. Like I'm with you on that. Chemistry is the word that's so simple but can be so triggering because of the fact that it can make such a big difference in someone's future in the NFL.
It does, absolutely. And Tanja said, "Can you give us one of your wide receivers, please?"
Hey,
you mind just said you had a plethora of receivers that could start on any team. Can you just give us one of them? We're not asking for 2. Just give us one of your starters. We'll take that.
I'll give you one. You give me Kyle. You give me Kyle Hamilton. I'll give you one.
No, wait. No, you went too far. We can't give you Kyle Hamilton. No, we can't do that. Oh goodness. So yeah, I mean, the Ravens have a couple of receivers who I think could start on any team, but not as many as you just mentioned. You said you have a lot of them. I don't think we do. But injury concerns for the Ravens, Adisa Isaac, he had another soft tissue injury. Rasheen Ali, running back, he had a stinger in game 1. And the rib injury for Tez Walker. And I'm just mentioning the players who I think actually will have an opportunity to play or have a chance to play this upcoming game. Kyle Hamilton, when we hear anything about Kyle Hamilton, I'm going to speak for myself here. When I hear anything about Kyle Hamilton, favoring a side or being slow to get up or needing some assistance, I think I stopped breathing for a moment.
Yes.
And I'm just waiting to hear that he's okay. And then I can take a sigh of relief. That's just how I feel. But, so the Ravens have been pretty healthy. For the most part, we've been pretty healthy this offseason. Hope it can continue. I hope I hear you have some nicks and bruises over there on the Packers. Hope they can heal up well because, listen, you want to see your players out there. And as a football team, I don't wish injury on anyone. Yeah. Come
Anyway, I
on.
don't care. I trust me. There's some players I hate, and I don't wish injury on them because I just don't. Yeah, because you know what the Vikings are going through right now with McCarthy and with Addison, all this stuff. And I just tell people it's karma because for years they used to like blast us with pictures of Rodgers and his broken collarbone, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay. We didn't say nothing. We left it alone. And look what happened now. Look what happened now.
Right. Yeah. That's what we thought, Tanja. You were saying that your guest should give us a wide receiver to help us out because we just need one. We just need one. And Tanja said here that Bateman doesn't have that dog in her opinion. He looks, to be half in this thing. And that's something that I raised, a question that I
Yeah.
raised recently. If you're going to be on a team, you have to
Mhm.
you have to want to be there. Like you said,
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson just got traded to the Eagles because it didn't appear that he wanted to be there. And that's a point
Exactly.
that before noon today or 1 o'clock today, whenever it happened, that's something that Tim Hughes and I were discussed dialoguing this morning. He said, "Did you hear? Did you hear that the Ravens might be a landing spot for Jahan Dotson?" And I said,
That's
"Ooh,
crazy. Yeah,
ooh,
that would have been nice. That would
that
have been
would have
nice.
been that would have been lovely, amazing." And then a couple of hours later, sure enough, we hear that
And
he's
they do
going
it
over to the Eagles.
interdivision too, which is crazy, right? They did it with Philly, which you don't think that they would do that, but they must be at a point where like we're over this dude, and they got a third round pick for him, so it wasn't like they didn't give him away for free. So
Yeah, yeah, certainly. All right, final predictions. Final prediction for this game. In the chat, type fast. Give us your score prediction. Who's winning? Number one, who's winning? And what's your score prediction? Okay, Amar, what do you have?
all right, so with the Packers, knowing how their depth is, I do think the Ravens win because I just think like both teams draft well. Like don't get me wrong there, right? But the difference is that we are a younger team with less experience. So when you get lower into the third and fourth string, that's where that inexperience kicks in. Baltimore not only has a good like mixture of youth and veteran leadership, the way they're coached by John Harbaugh and the way they're kind of brought up, they don't come out unprepared. I just don't. I just see Ravens winning, and yeah, I can't give you cut.
I
Look,
had to put
I'm
that
just
underscore,
saying,
Amar.
look, supply and demand here. Come on now.
Tanja had to underscore my point. No, we can't give Cal that's a little too much. That's like saying give us both of your arms or both of your legs and half your brain. And then we'll do that. We'll make that trade. No, we can't give you Cal. So you think the Ravens are going to win? What's your score?
Oh man. Oh man. Okay, let's see. I'll say 2014. Probably say 2014. Yeah.
Hmm. Jay the
Oh
Six
wow.
says, yeah, Jay the Six says 28-14 Packers. Jay, if you can just let me know, how did you arrive at this conclusion? I want to know, what evidence do you have to support said
I
conclusion?
mean, your backup quarterback is what Josh Johnson, right? Like, it's not like you guys. Like, I know, but he's a journeyman. He's been playing for like 100 years. He knows what to do. So I'm like,
But you got to do it. And that's
I
the point.
know, yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
point.
point.
Like you're right. He's been playing for a long time, many, many years in the league. When you
Yep,
come out on the field, I expect, I mean, this is just me, the expectation, you are a well
I agree.
seasoned
As a
veteran.
veteran, yeah, it's like here, it's not lower. I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah,
Why weren't
I
you
100%
able to put up
agree.
any points game one? He did come back game two and was able to
Mhm.
score a touchdown, so he
Yeah,
kind of, again, he was just like Marlon Humphrey. They heard what you all were saying about him. They heard the naysayers. So he said, I'm not going to go out like this. I'm going to put some points on the board for my team. But yeah, for backup,
exactly.
we have Josh Johnson, and we also have Devin Leary. We drafted him. But
Nice.
more impressive, even over our draft pick, has been Emory Jones. So we'll see who's going to play, quarterback. I do think we're going to see Josh Johnson out there for quite a bit, and then they're going to
Mhm.
rotate between Emory Jones and Devin Leary. But okay, me, if you would have asked me score prediction, who's winning prior to this afternoon's, the articles that I read and what I heard on
Right.
social media about the joint practice, I would have easily told you, oh, the Ravens are taking this one all day. The Ravens, and twice on Sunday, even though we play on Saturday. But I would have said, hands down, Ravens are taking it. I don't know how confident I am in that answer right now. So, but because I asked you and you were so gracious to give me your answer, I'm going to do the same. Now I feel this one could really go to the Packers. It really
Mm.
could. I could see it. Just because I'm still hearing that our offensive line, like you've got to be able to block. Pass blocking is a must.
Yeah.
You got to be
Yeah.
able to run block. Like you have to do. Like, that's essential. You just
Right.
have to. You can't get around that.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
because we still seem to be struggling there, mightily, I should say. I'm going to go with I'm going to take the Packers here, not by a narrow margin. We
Yeah.
have Justin Tucker. I left him out. I didn't bring him up,
Okay,
but
you know
he
what?
goes.
I'll give you receiver for Justin Tucker. I'll give you
No, we're
receiver for
not
Justin
giving seat. Tanja, where are you, Tanja? He's trying to take Kyle Hamilton, and now he wants Justin Tucker. Can you please tell him
Our
we're
kickers
not
suck,
doing
man.
that?
Come
No,
on,
we're
help
not.
me out.
We're not doing that. We can't give you Justin Tucker. Sorry,
Oh,
that's a no.
I was telling people on the beat in Green Bay. I know so they follow me and stuff. I was like tagging them. I was like, "Yo, grab Justin Tucker and put him in a closet. We're not giving him up." I was like, "No, I need a kicker. Damn it, I need a
No,
kicker."
you cannot have Justin Tucker. I'm so sorry, but a narrow margin. I do think the Packers might pull this one out. They might edge out the victory by 3 points, maybe. So I'm going to go. I think it'll be a low scoring game. Even though, even it doesn't matter who you have at quarterback, whether Jordan Love plays a few snaps, I think he's still going to be good. He looks crisp. He looks sharp. He looks accurate. He's going through his reads. I think very highly of Jordan Love. But our defenses, even our second stringers, they're still very aggressive. So I think it'll be a low scoring
Yeah,
game.
no joke, man. They are no
Yeah.
joke. I'm not gonna lie.
No. I would say maybe 14-10, 3-4 point
Yeah, I can
differential.
see that. I can see a low scoring game. I definitely can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see it going up into the 20s. If it does, then we've really got an interesting game to watch. But
Yeah, the defenses didn't show up. That's for sure.
that's for sure. They sure didn't. Final question for you, Amar. Who's winning your division this year?
Okay, you know what? These Lions fans, as much as I appreciate them, they got a taste of some glory. They all happy. They all hyped up. Yeah, no, that's not happening again. We let little brother get a little taste. Now they acting crazy. Not a fan of it. So we're taking the North back. And that's just the way it is. And all this Vikings they're gonna be garbage. That's a fact. And Chicago might have something going on, but I think it might take them a year or two, and it might take them half a year to get going with Caleb. Detroit, you know what? They have a good team of players. The coaching, Dan is great. Dan Campbell is great. I'm not a fan of their OC. I think he's going to get exposed. And Aaron Glenn, amazing man, and then I think he'd be an amazing head coach. He is not a defensive coordinator. Their defense has been bad every single year. I just don't understand why I'm happy they brought him back because I'm like, all right, we're gonna eat them up. That's easy. That's great. So yeah,
Yeah.
we go definitely take back the North, and that's gonna be a problem for you guys though, because you guys are a division of attrition. Like it don't even matter who takes the North because 3 of your teams normally make the playoff anyways because it's just what
That's right.
happens.
That's right. 3 of our teams are going to make that's a shoe in automatically. Just you come in first, second, or third in the AFC North, you're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. We do have one Vikings fan, Lil Joker. If you're still in here, thank you for being here. I'm going to tell you who
Oh, I'm
I think
sorry.
is taking. It's okay. It's all good. Listen. I was begging Lil Joker, could we have Justin Jefferson before they signed him? I said, can like earlier in the offseason, I was like, listen, Lil Joker, can we work something out to where we can have Justin Jefferson? You guys don't really want. You don't know what you're doing over there at quarterback at that time. This was a long time ago. But my thoughts for the NFC North. I'm going to go with Lions number 1, but that's not to say 1 and 2 can be
Okay, it's
reversed.
fine though. As long as we get in the dance, I don't care at this point. I just,
Packers
you know what?
too.
When we won the Super Bowl, we were number 2 in the division, so I'm okay. That's fine.
Yeah, but I can see that going either way. I can see it flip flopping. I can see the Packers coming out on top of the division, Lions number 2, and then I'm going to give the Vikings number 3. And I had the Bears. I know I had the Bears. I did. I had them at 3, but I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. That'll be an interesting
Yeah,
division
I'm
for
with you
sure.
on that. I know where you're going with that. I know exactly where you're going. I agree completely. I don't know if he has the mentals for it. I just there's something about it. Just I have to wait and see. I have to wait and see.
Ah,
Yeah.
well, thank you, Amar, again for joining the show. This has been a pleasure. Please tell everyone where they can find you here on YouTube and social media.
Yeah. So, look, Yolanda, this was absolutely great. I love talking football. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just so happy that you felt honored to have me on your show. We're honored to be here, and I'm on Game On Wisconsin. If you go to Game On Wisconsin YouTube channel, you'll find us Coast to Coast Packers. And most of my social media stuff is on Twitter or X, as they call it, and it's at AMAR3455. You can follow me for Packers stuff. You can follow me for football stuff, and I I divvy down a whole bunch of stuff. I think Yolanda follows me, so she sees some of the crazy stuff I put out there. Um, but yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This was really great.
Yeah, this was awesome. So thank you again for joining. I appreciate you taking the time to come out here and talk with us.